It's Lost in Plot, and today we have the 5th episode of Dexter, New Blood.
That's right, this episode is titled Runaway. Oh my God. You know, last week I made a plea for everyone. I said it's okay. Come back to Dexter. If you liked the show in the early season, it's okay. Come back and watch this. I think it's going to play out well. And I must have been just a giant asshole because then we got this episode, unfortunately.
Fascinating. Tell me. Let's unpack your thoughts a little bit because I might be on a different angle than you.
I found this to be the first bad episode of the season, and bad to a level where I was legitimately worried when I got done watching it that it might have torpedoed the season, that it might have just taken it off the rails.
So what is it?
I'll tell you why.
What are the things that did it for you?
Too many shortcuts. The bottom line is this episode is...
They take a real big shortcut.
Yeah,
I know.
This episode is poorly written. Okay, it is definitely poorly written. 1, it is lazy. 2, it takes shortcuts in the plot. Instead of setting things up, it kind of shoehorns things in for convenience, and we as the audience are kind of left trying to suspend our disbelief to stay on board with the first 4 episodes, where I didn't have to do that before.
So wait, is it not good writing to just have a pivotal character get blitzed on drugs to the point where they do something stupid that reveals a crucial plot point to advance your story forward? Can't you just have the random bender to move your story forward if you get stuck?
No, you can't. So, sorry. This writer who wrote this episode took shortcuts, as I mentioned, and I'd also argue that they kind of missed the voice of the show because it didn't really feel like the other episodes for me. They really stuck out. So, in this episode, to your point, one of Dexter's close characters gets a little loopy, gets a little high, gets a little pass out on drugs, and that creates a whole mess of things, man. Whereas like everything else was kind of cause and effect, it slowly kind of built up in a nice progression. This episode kind of throws in that OD, and chaos kind of spirals out all around it.
Yeah, it was kind of a plot point from out of left field that hadn't been set up, that just kind of comes in and smashes the board. Like if you're playing chess, this is when somebody just smacks it and all the pieces go flying after they'd carefully been set up. And it seems like it's a heavy-handed manifestation or excuse to get Dexter to kind of do more Dexter-related things. Like somebody was impatient and they needed to force it rather than finding organic ways out of what had been set up and what had been carefully set up in the story up to this point, which is why it's disappointing that that type of a choice was made.
And here's the thing, through 4 episodes, I said I was excited because I kind of didn't know where things were going to go. But after watching this episode, it kind of telegraphed what the rest of the season may end up being. And when I saw that foreshadowing, I completely lost interest. I was like, oh, I hope they don't do this, because it's so predictable. So they show you a relationship, and it could be, you know, one person is jilted by another person, so he runs off into a surrogate figure who's actually worse for him, and then at the end, it's just the resolution. It's a story we've seen a lot before, right? You know exactly where I'm going with it?
Yeah.
Did you get that?
It felt like it felt like a retreat. A retreat back to familiar, well-trod territory.
Yes.
As opposed to continuing on this narrative journey that they've taken.
Don't go this way. Don't go that way.
Yeah, because it's like pulling it right back in to a place that I didn't really want it to go. Obviously, you didn't want it to go there either.
And that's what worries me, because if that is our direction, if that is where we're going, then I think this might be the episode that when we get to the finale, we look back and say, yeah, that's where it went off the rails. It was going good for a second, but this one might have derailed it.
I hope
that I'm wrong. I want to be wrong.
It smashed the chessboard, and it's really laid waste to what was a very well done setup.
Someone come back and put those pieces back in a logical order here. Help us, because this episode, Runaway, I fear the worst after this, and I want to be wrong. I desperately want to be wrong, but it's all on this next episode, I think, to get us back onto a better track and give me more of that unpredictable, nuanced season that I was getting until this one kind of retreated from everything into the comforting familiarity of a story we've seen many times before.
Is this episode the season killer? Time will only tell, but you've got to give it a score, so where does it come in?
Oh, it's dead. It's a dead episode, and it's a 4 out of 10 for those writing shortcuts. Never a good thing.
Yeah, for me, it's teetering. I guess I have to call it dead. It's a 5 out of 10, only because I don't know how this episode is going to impact the season as a whole. It's a real bad misstep. There's no doubt about it.
And that's all you need to know. Regardless of what happens, did this episode improve things or make them worse?
Well, there are certain plot lines where...
What did you like?
There's certain plot lines where it added. We've called them previously like the big bad, and they've added a little bit more information.
That's what I've been calling him, the runaway killer.
The runaway killer. So they've added a little bit of information there that makes it a little bit more intriguing that they might be able to go some places with. So we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There might be a couple of nice steps on those plot lines, but there's some big missteps that they're going to have to.
So I'm polarized. Now I'm ready to jump off the ledge, and you've got to pull me back. Maybe I'm overreacting, but
we'll see.
That's what we think of the 5th episode of Dexter. We've got 5 more to go in the season for New Blood.
Guys, are you following along? Are you watching Dexter? If you are, did you have the same reaction we did, or was this kind of more, well, you know, more of the same? Just keeps on going. Please let us know in your comments down below. Like and subscribe. Check us out on Twitter, and we'll find you all on the next one.